Darkness awaits the championship. Those who are brave enough to take it. Grind. The adventure. The journey. Alright, that's enough of that. I don't think my voice can handle it. Alright, fan out. Yone, super exciting. Yone as an answer to Cassante. Interesting. Yone is going to have the scaling advantage in this matchup. Cassante will try to brick him early. Yone does have that nice 50% split in magic damage from the passive. We're going to see him look for that. It looks like we got a little flex too from Rel going into the jungle. So we're going to have a very easy line to see, right? We have engage number one, bundle them up, then put them together with Rel or Orianna, right? Both of them vacuum cleaner them into one little space, and then this guy will come deal all of his damage, and then suddenly everyone will be in a line and Zaya gets to deal them. So we'll see if this railroad strat ends up coming together. Definitely going to be super punishing around the team fights and the pits if you happen to find that. This is the type of fight where we're looking at these multiple engagers, melees, where we're definitely going to prefer to see Rageblade from Kai'Sa this game. Probably not going to, because we have a Vi. All right, so Vi, Azir, they're going to try to take advantage of this AD/AP mix in mid lane and go for kills at level 6. So look for aggression starting at 520 when Xiao Hu is going to look for his 6. If you do miss any experience from minions, you don't get it until the next wave, the 530 wave, so you see it at like 540. Look at this spike up in top. They're going strong. They're going full ham at each other. That's a lethal tempo Yone, the Shy. The Shy, you know, welcome back to Worlds. We're going to see Caps playing against him. I believe Mickey was also on that team. So Mickey X and Caps getting their chance at revenge against the Shy, who beat them in the World Championship, what was it, finals? Last time they were in Korea. So good to see these guys back on this stage. Xiao Hu as well. Crisp as well. So a lot of familiar names here from Weibo. You know, this is a team that was built to win. They are that strong. The Shy reportedly is playing like the best top laner in the world. There's a couple people in this tournament who would take offense to that statement, but we'll see. The Shy's got a mission. We'll see how this game goes. Broken Blade, actually a shout out to him, has been playing phenomenally in Europe all year. Seemingly knowing the limits of the extent of these fights better than most of his opponents. We'll see if that's still true on the international stage. Yike, going for this play. Now, Rel has tremendous monster damage, right? The amplification, like 260% amplified damage, means that you can get very good executes if you can test these fights, and your base kit is much better for locking people down. That said, they actually fumble that one away. That's going to be a tremendous loss for Yike, because they went for a path 3 camps into an invade that they still lost, which means that Vi is catapulted ahead now. She's working on her 5th camp and finishing camp 5 before Rel's even on camp 4, which means Rel's going to skip the next and go after this scuttle, then go back into her jungle and maybe go for this kill. Wait, good adaptation? It's super, what's the word I'm looking for? Ambitious. That's an ambitious play. Yike, you got to take a camp. It's got to be now. Vi is already answering. So this is something you can do to any champion that starts Raptors. You can full clear, come back, and you will be there right in time for their Raptors spawn. So anytime that you suspect that they are starting on their Raptor camp, go to the opposite side, start on your red, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, take Scuttle as 7, and then you'll be here right in time for the respawn. So love to see this advantage from Weiwei. They are going to be super far ahead. Caps also down low. We see this a lot from the Azir Orianna matchup. Azir just outranging and dealing so much damage with the early Sand Soldiers, especially when you go this right here. Hail of Blades is the pivotal rune to make sure that you can get that maximum damage. Lethal Tempo, really good for the scaling, of course, but Hail of Blades gets you that advantageous lane phase. Now we have Ghost and Flash down from Kai'Sa. This so Kai'Sa being super flexible is why the prior on her is super high. Unfortunately, I feel like the majority of the games I've seen the wrong build from these Kai'Sas, and I think she actually has a very bad record. I'd be interested to actually compile that and see what those actual numbers are, but I feel like Kai'Sas have been falling, which means that prio on her is probably going to shift, which is good for the people who have been building correctly, because they'll have more accessibility to Kaisa, potentially as late as something like Blue 4. Probably never going to get there at Blue 4, but even if you could get there on the second rotation and pick up something like Jarvan first, or get one of like the true prio picks, could be interesting. We still haven't seen Ashe. All right, we've seen one Ashe, we've seen one Lysandra. We expect these to be the strongest champions in the game in their roles. We have not seen enough of them, and it's not because they're being banned. So I do expect to see more as we see them win more often. But going into the drafts as we see them, what is going to be Weebu's weakness and strength in the late game? Well, isolating a target, we're going to get multiple pushes. We've got tons of lockdown. Should be very easy for Kaisa to rip in the damage because, like I said, of dive, and the fact that you have lockdown, push, lockdown, means that Kaisa should go for on hit and deal the maximum damage over time. This is not the game to go for lethality. Unfortunately, most times that we've seen her paired with Vi, they've gone for the lethality build. We shall see. To be told. 500 gold lead here for G2 on the back of just superior laning. This bot lane, Xayah Rakan just taking it to the Kaisa. 20 CS in the lead is actually kind of incredible. Was not aware that they were stomping by this much. Be interesting to get more vision on what they're actually doing to accomplish this. But again, Yike being chased out of the jungle. Orianna being stronger at level 6 for an all-in, but Azir getting that scoop, that mobility that you have, the combination of the two can be super deadly. So G2 opts to back out. They're saying, you know what, we can scale this game. We don't care. Any amount of dragons is okay. We're going to be stronger, as we said, this like railroad strategy where you're just going to get this big dog pile. If you ever get it at any point in this game basically ends. Probably most likely at the end of the game, right? The closer you are to the end, they'll just be able to finish off of it. But if you're Weebu, you're going to have to be very, very meticulous with all of your plays. Otherwise, that railroad is just going to run you over. Yike. Only a Giant's Belt. Going to feel the difference here in their damage in the camps. We see a lot of this when they go for early Radiant Virtues, going for the big scaling for the team fight. You have Yone on just Boots and Dagger, which means he's sitting on a significant amount of gold. We're talking at least Berserker Greaves and Noon Quiver if that's the avenue that he wants to go. He might be trying to survive until he has the full 3,000 to go for a Kraken Slayer, for example, but he does end up getting punished here Vi on Caulfield's Warhammer too. This is a big deal when you're playing Vi. Oh, beautiful Q flash. Oh, but they split their targets. This is going to be a turnaround. Azir scooping in. Are the soldiers in position? This is the problem with early game Azir. You only have one cast of your Q. If you're maxing W, then you only get one cast of Q and you're not able to reposition. So actually they buy all of that time of Xiaohu moving top, not able to get anything. The one thing that they did get for themselves was a kill on this Vi. Oftentimes we can see Ultimate Hunter, sometimes we see Relentless Hunter, but that first kill post Caulfield's Warhammer so that you get the reduction on the ultimate cooldown. You're going to step up to get this plate. This is actually going to be a shot in tempo. Most times that you stay for a plate, it tends to be an int, especially when you come back to a situation. It is 175 gold. It's super tempting to stay for that. But what is going to be the ripple effect? Herald. So you have to weigh this. I went and I took this plate. But because I stayed, and they know I stayed, I can't be back on the map. I don't have my items. They get Rift Herald. Rift Herald's going to give them 300 gold for the kill and another 350 for the plates. Was it worth my 175 to stay for that? Obviously not. So that's something that you always want to be weighing when you're deciding whether or not to get a plate. What is happening on the rebound? Are they just going to get a plate as well? Are they going to get something else because you're off the map? That is something that you have to go, because macro is a matter of seconds. Every time that you make a decision, you have to be thinking about what comes next. What is the answer? Most times that needs to be prepared. It needs to just be ingrained in players at this level, especially, to just know this is what I'm going for, right? This is my prize. This is their prize if I go for my prize, right? There's always going to be some amount of trade-off. Now, something you can do if you're super, super quick with this, the Yone can interrupt dash stuns. Okay, if you're going in your pathing, he can jump into them with Q3 active and deny them. So the Pantheons of the world, the Vise of the world, even Gragas, when they're dashing forward to you, you can interrupt that with your Q3 cast. So would have loved to see Broken Blade get that off. He doesn't get it this time, but we'll see if he gets any more interactions. Now we're seeing this Leona Kaisa lane just fold to the pressure. Normally you pick Leona as a counter pick to Rakan, saying, okay, if you ever want to jump in, I'm just tankier and I'll just take this fight. But early this new fangled Rakan build, where instead of going cooldown boots and Shurelya's, they all have been going Merc Treads and Radiant Virtue, means that early Merc Treads means you don't never die to Leona. Leona locks you up. You're like, sweet, I'm glad that you put any amount of damage on me. I started off with a tremendous amount of health plus the shield. Plus, you're just never going to kill me because I'll jump away. So really like these adaptations to the Rakan builds to be much tankier. It kind of takes away one of his weaknesses that he had in the lane phase. Now, speaking of weaknesses in lane phase, Kaisa, notoriously weak and is getting punished here. Hansama already having Kraken Slayer. This is something that I do love and I expect to see from most of these teams. If you're not rotating your AD carry over to actually pick up the Herald, the next best thing is to bring the Herald to their lane, right? That is the champion that scales the best with gold on your team. So you almost always want to put it there. You're just not going to get those 5-plate, kill the whole turret plays that you get in solo queue from your Rift Heralds in pro. They're too good at defending. They're too good at matching. So by getting this one down, you get Xayah into a tremendous amount of gold lead. Because she's on the spike, boots plus Kraken Slayer, she's actually comfortable enough to come down here, even against Azir. That being said, you still have to be careful. Level 8 versus level 10. Still a little bit dicey, but the pushing power of Xayah is unparalleled right now, and she's just going to go, and they're threatening the dive if Azir comes for the answer. Yike being pushed off of Scuttle, or being pushed off of a jungle camp for the third time, somehow has still managed to get himself a 1-0-2 and a same level as the Vi. That is kind of incredible, actually. Vi should have been able to run away with this game by contesting Rel at everything once she got off to that tremendous lead early. If you remember, Rel did not take a 4th camp until 4 minutes into the game. That should have been backbreaking. Azir also had the pushing advantage in mid, so they could have played with inside out prio. Everything could have been strong. All right, we see the engage. Hansama able to get the feathers fly. There's no way they're going to turn this though, right? Okay. Overstay in the bot lane. You catch them greeting for this turret. So they get the big punish onto Xayah. Cap's getting himself a plate for the price. We'll see what Yike is able to do if he tries to make a play in the top lane. This is Iceborne versus Yone. Now, Yone is still very strong here. Even against Iceborne Gauntlet, you have those extra stacks. You're able to get the lethal tempo going up. You still can deal tremendous advantage. It is important to continue the trade, though. You want the full value of your lethal tempo to come in. That right there, inexcusable that she didn't let the feathers fly. That ult was landing on your head. There's no reason to ever get caught there. Now, G2 is still a little bit of a gold lead, but expect most of this to fall down. The plates have gone down, so there won't be any more prizes. I don't like spending any more time down here as Xayah, but you can see that they're clearly trying to create a trap. You see these wards right here by Rakan? This is very much like a Smurf attitude that you can use in these games. If you're smurfing, you have a lead in a lane, go ahead and get a deep ward behind them and just catch them as they're rotating over to that lane. Make them feel super uncomfortable about even approaching their lane state. The pressure does mean that Xayah is able to take the turret, but I expect this to be the last couple of minions that she takes here, and expect her to move over to mid now. Rakan is going to light the way. He's got all the wards down, going to go back to base to refill the wards and get the other half of his Radiant Virtue set up. Or even just Control Ward and Null Magic Mantle. That is fine for now. Now, Orianna, Rel, Yone, how are they going to synergize? One of the things that is a little bit tough about putting Xayah mid here. All right, now I'm not saying you don't want to do it. You always want to bring your AD carry over here because it centralizes the support. It centralizes your damage. It means that they're able to participate. It's also the safest lane, right? There's 3 escape routes, not to mention that you might go into the river. So really 5 different escape routes that you can use when you're an AD carry. That's why you want to be here. Now that people have full items and their boots, level 10s or 11s, huge spikes for so many champions in the game, you cannot afford to be in a side lane. Orianna, I expect to come out, just shove the wave and go. Yone can stay in their lane a little bit longer. We have a teleport. This shouldn't result to anything. Orianna does not have hers, so they potentially have a timer here. Orianna could continue to push, is opting to start rotating over because they don't quite have the teleport. It looks like 15 seconds are still up on that, so coming over right away. We'll see if we end up with a big fight, but let's take a stock of items. We got stopwatch, Rangis, boom, done. They have a evolved and completed items here, and these are bigger spikes. I don't want G2 to actually fight this. I would have preferred to see Orianna go and stay in the bot lane. Now coming over, pushing mid, that's fine. You can say, all right, you guys spend time, but we'll push mid. But that means that now they can come in and muscle you out, and you're really putting yourself in a tough spot. What happened? Why did the Shy not get his Q3 off there? Normally you go W into instantaneous Q3. I don't know why he didn't do it. That's his flash and his all out. Whoa. Okay, that's a huge problem for them. But like I said, by coming over, if you thought that they were stronger and you didn't actually want to contest into this vision, which makes sense, like look at this wall of vision they've set up for themselves. You don't want to be face checking into Leona, Cassante, Azir, Vi, right, plus the Kai'Sa isolation damage. You don't want to be face checking. So why are you even coming here and trying to push for mid? You could have actually continued this wave, got that all the way in. Then you have your teleport still up. Your team, your 4 people could come here. Then you can grab vision of this quadrant, and then you could slide over and have priority for the dragon. Let me just see that real quick again. So normally it's Q. It's just not, so it's Q3. It just missed. So stun W into Q3 should always be automatic. Okay. Oh, is it the Merc Treads diff? It could just be Merc Treads. The interesting thing about Cassante, oh, nice upfront pickup. We'll get this. It's okay that you give up the dragon. Rakan's going to look for these engages, and they're going to get a big gold lead off of this. 2 kills means that they're going to have mid prio and prio for the Baron as well. Cassante, lots of knockups. It feels like he shouldn't be resisted by Merc Treads, but if you go and read all of his abilities, they all have mini stuns attached to them, or stuns that allow other parts to go in. For example, the W has a push and a stun, so if you're able to get out in that case, you get the flash. It looked like Cassante may have even just missed that anyways, but the fact that you have that small tiny window where you can get out, we're talking about an 1/8 of a second, and that can be the difference between being able to flash and not being able to flash for a fight. You flash, beautiful entrance. Hansama again, slow on the R. As soon as that Q comes in, you just have to throw it. Oh no, Mickey! Trying to block, ends up giving the kill. Wei punching through Rakan to get to Xayah. Good job by G2, knocking up Rift Herald, stopping it from getting the turret. Probably actually would have put it at about 1/10 HP. It doesn't look like it would have killed it from there. The Shy going for another up front. Knock up, chain CC, rooted, yeah, just locked down. They just keep them in place. Now the multiple man stun there, very interesting. Good job by Leona, realizing that they would pass through that bush. Beautifully placed by Crisp, but they do end up biting it for it. Yeah, that's super greedy. Block. So in 2 ways. First of all, that Q that you threw towards the Vi was never going to accomplish anything. Those feathers you wanted actually upstream. You didn't want them going towards the river. You wanted them up the lane. On top of that, locking yourself into an animation so that Vi can say, oh, all right, you're in an animation. Fine, Q flash. I'm right on top of you. You can't dodge this now. That is absolutely a foul at this level. They can react at that speed. I expect them to, in fact, most times, to be able to react. And if you give them that window, they'll take it. All right, we do see the double lethality setup here from Kaisa. I don't like it for this game. It means your team spikes right about now. Your team is looking pretty good for getting this soul, but this one doesn't really do anything. This one doesn't really do anything. You're going to have better cooldowns, but enemy team still has better ult cooldowns anyways. Not to mention, if you're getting into a fight, ults versus ults, they're going to win. So you don't want to get into an ults versus ult fight. So basically, we're getting very little effect. We are going to have the stacking mountain onto Cassante. There is no one else that's really going to be taking advantage of this, but that's just one champion, and this soul, like, this is still going to be able to rip through that damage. All right, make no mistake about it, they will be able to rip through that. Now, Orianna, making sure that she's alive in the fights, ends up picking Zhonya's for herself. I expect to see Rabadon's next. This is interesting. This has to be Spirit Visage. Did Yike not get the memo that Abyssal Mask is on Megatron Cloak now? Or maybe they just want the single, like, best item defensively. We'll take a look at this fight, though. Look at the battle lines that they draw for themselves. Feathers Fly comes out early. This is a beautiful zoning tool. It actually functions similar to a Caitlyn trap. You can draw it back and get the crisp. But let's see, we've got the engage coming in. This is going to be a grand melee in the pit. Oh my goodness. All out being pulled to the side. They're isolating targets. This is so good for Weebu Gaming. This is going to be very, very difficult for G2 to come back from. Weebu finding the angle for themselves. The fact that we have defensive itemization here. We've got cooldown, ability haste, defensive itemization, and defensive itemization means that we're not having enough of a spike from Caps. This is something that we have seen from Caps in this tournament, that he goes on these much more defensive builds and has not been limit testing. In fact, I believe we saw them go like 4-0-4 in a loss in one of the games this year. He's much more willing to take the mature approach, but that said, sometimes you want your team to just be willing to int for some extra damage. Look at that lockup. The fact Yone never got anything off, wasn't stacked up on his Q, again did not get Q3 in response to the Vi dash, means that Vi was able to get everything. The whole team was able to jump onto that, and from that spot you get everything. You can tell that going into that pit that they were trying to line them up. It's like, let's get them when they go around the bend, we'll try to bundle them all up. But the fact that Yone was all the way back here and they still had carries here meant that there's no chance of those AoEs synergizing. G2, what are you doing? You've lost mid lane prio, you're down in gold. This is not the Hail Mary to take. Cassante has a beautiful position and ultimate is almost up, but you don't actually want him to ultimate yet. You just want him to be this big shield in the front of the team fight, holding them in. He's just corralling them to this position. Weebu wants this fight. They're going to hold this battle line, and as soon as G2 comes up, we're going to see Cassante step forward. Yike actually diving into the front of the team. It means that there's no peel there. He just dies. This feels like a huge int. Xayah is going to rip through some of this damage. Good job by them to get one back, but that might be it. Like, they're lucky if they get another one here. Another Q flash from Vi. This is a complete wipe. This makes no sense to me. I don't get why teams still do this. You're down 0-3 in Dragons. Dragon does not matter compared to Elder or compared to Baron. Soul is inconsequential. And in this fight, where you just got completely wiped, they all shopped. You see, across the board, these champions are stronger than you. Why? Why are you going for this fight? Try to get yourself later in the game. You can fight for Elder 7 minutes from now. You're going to be fine. Instead, they could have gone pushed up for mid, push up. You can go collect this as an answer. Let them get the soul, collect some money, try to even that for yourself. You're going to have a better chance scaling into the end game for that. I think they tunneled on the fact that, hey, our team's going to be really good in these big fights where we might have these big team fights, but we saw, like, they just fan out. 4 people take a wide approach, and then Cassante takes the opposite, and then just says, all right, we're going to stay wide. What is the angle that you're going to approach us on? That tends to be the problem with these Bronzodia Wombo Combo comps. Very easy at the pro level to fan out in good battle lines. If you guys want to see how to team fight, watch these Korean and Chinese teams fight, how they position, how they avoid what the other team is trying to do. Spirit Visage from Rel I hate. It is going to amplify the healing from Radiant Virtue for what it's worth. But yeah, I don't like it. Must have Second Wind in the build as well, so they're really trying to amplify and double down on this. Second Wind, or Revitalize, I should say. Revitalize is going to be super impactful because you've got the Rakan and the Orianna, who both might be coming on, getting their shields onto you. Would be interesting to see if Broken Blade actually went Green Tree second. This is a fantastic game for Shield Bash. Looking at it, right, you've got two different champions that might be diving or putting shields onto you as a fight is breaking out. That extra stat can absolutely can matter as these fights break out. Having that scaling armor. The extra auto attack doesn't really matter. That's more for laning phase. But these shields, you know, those resistances matter. It also makes the shield matter more. We'll see if probably post game whether or not that's something that he opted for. Also, he has his own shield from his W, right? So there's multiple sources that he can get it. And late in the game, when you're talking about two shields here, this shield's going to be on like a 4-second cooldown, plus your own. There's a lot of opportunity for Shield Bash to take over. All right, Abyssal Mask, best item on the game is on Cassante. You have 1.5 damage dealers for it, and you get to resist a significant amount of damage from it, even part of what Yone does. So love to see it there. Unlike Summit from game 1, if you guys watched, he built it in a game where there's just an Orianna on the enemy team, and just one champion on his team that had it. That's the situation where you don't buy Abyssal. That's where you go with something else. You can even go like Chem Tank, or anything, even Force of Nature. But even Force of Nature is like, there's only one person dealing magic damage in the composition. How are you ever going to get the stack? How are you ever going to get the attack, the extra magic resist? It's never going to feel that good. All right, if you're G2, what you're trying to do is control one area of the map. So you want a very shallow line here, and then you want to control one area. This is the best way to stop the mitigations. You're also going to want a control ward on this side of these meatballs inside your base. You want to be able to see rotations as they're coming. Obviously, you have no chance at winning these fights right now unless you get the perfect situation. So basically, it needs to lead off with, I start CC on one person, enemy team then bunches, and we get some combination of Orianna, Rel vacuuming them up, and like we said, Yone to then spear through them. Maybe we'll call this the shish kebab. Railroad makes sense too. All right, here we go. Couple bundled up. All right, there we go. We got it. Boom. Wombo. They got them all. 2 kills right off the top, going to be there easily. Vi's not going to be able to consolidate this. They have to step back. The Shy even stepping back. I don't like that he's coming forward. There's nothing really to get back here. All the ultimates have been used, so there is a potential for a pick if you can isolate someone. But we're going to see G2 take this 5v3 in the pit. Let's look at their formation. You're going to see Rakan on the outside. Ori's going to stay here and make sure to shield the Rakan. See how they're trying to keep them at arm's length? They don't want to let them into the pit with their ultimates. The fact that they're moving forward means that we're going to get another bunch of AoE damage. They burst for the Baron. We get Broken Blade using stopwatch. They survive. Broken Blade also comes over trying to make sure that they can survive with one pit, but they actually win the AoE fights. The Shy stepping a little bit too deep. Team is not ready for this. Good job by Broken Blade buying some time till his team gets there. Shields come off cooldown. You buy time for yourself, and they actually get the wipe. Weibo gives them exactly what they needed to survive in this game. Oh no. Syncopated recalls could actually be a problem. Xayah Rakan going to die. They're actually going to say, all right, we'll just die with one. Actually, what happened here? Why didn't they stay for the ride? Xayah recalling meant that Rakan had the free ride home. I don't know why that happened. And was it like, wasn't Landry's burn? It wasn't, there's no like Luden's proc. I don't know what caused that. Let me go look. What deals damage? Wait. That's... All right, G2 should call for a bug right here. They are supposed to go back together. There's nothing that stopped this damage. They should have been able to go in. There's no reason for Rakan to not get the recall off. That's fascinating. Why are they not calling for this? Okay, interesting. Hopefully it doesn't matter. We'll see what comes up. With Elder spawning in 40 seconds, Rakan and Rel are going to have a difficult situation coming in. Azir opted to push top. I don't like this at all. They should have been spending their time creating walls of vision in the southern quadrant, because the approach for the enemy team is pretty linear. They're looking at respawning just in time for Dragon, which means that they want to come out. Now, what they should be doing, G2 should be looking to create this push. Obviously, they have a disadvantage here. The fact that there's still standing structures, whereas they're missing theirs right here in mid lane, means that Weibo's always going to have the push prio. Not only that, but if you do have an ending fight here, there is a chance that you can survive on Weibo, whereas there's no chance that you survive. If G2 gets wiped, there are no structures defending it. At this stage in the game, with this many items, we're looking at about 40 seconds from mid lane to go and kill the base, and it's basically gated by the amount of time it takes the wave to get there. Right, you actually step up ahead of the wave. You always keep the minions alive. We'll see if anyone goes for that if we end up with an ace after this fight. Now, those big shutdowns, the fact those were all shutdowns, by the way, going into that fight, means that everyone has spiked on gold. Look at the battle lines here, nice and split up. Oh, I don't like this ahead of the whole team. They're actually going to get another grand melee. Big scoop by Azir, but this is turning into a coin flip. Coming out to execution. Beautiful damage out there, but we have 3-2 alive. Beautifully timed by Yike to get this. Now we've got Mickey and Caps going for this. Rel's going to start pushing the wave. Rel cannot contribute. I love this play by Yike. You see how she's already pushing the wave with Baron buff. Caps is going to recall because they have teleport, and they're going to go for maximum structural damage. The first respawn is 23 seconds. Mickey actually opting to stay here. No, they're going to go for Elder. Interesting. Yeah, I guess this makes sense. You're going to have the Elder. You're going to wait for these guys to respawn before you actually go and kill it. And then they're going to try to play out the rest of the game with the Elder buff. But here we go. That was that wombo combo that we saw. This was your best chance. If you were thinking that you were going to contest, that was your best chance for Weibo. You're saying, all right, all your ultimates are gone right now. You're out of cooldowns right now. We still have access to a couple spells. That's your best chance if you want to make that fight. Leaving them behind and then opting to come and contest here felt like it was going to be very difficult. And at least at this stage, like, why coin flip it? Just wait for the respawns. Don't give them all these shutdowns. This is the part that matters. Look at this. Cassante dash here, holding up the lines. We got full engage. 7 champions together. But you see the vacuum, the shish kebab strat right there. Just double vacuum cleaner into the middle of the fight, allowing Yone to pass through them. Tons of damage in one small clump. And Weibo kind of gave it to him, right? Like, if you bundle up, that's how these fights are going to go. So you can tell me, timestamp in the comments, 32:20. What would you have done off the back of those kills? Elder, push, where do you teleport as Orianna? What would you do in that situation? You've got so many options. Big wave was crashing in top. This was on the table. This was on the table. This is on the table. This is on the table. Mid lane as well. G2 opting to go for the dragon buff. They're going to have it just long enough to prepare for Baron, but they won't actually have it for the Baron. I expect them to go for a recall here because they just got 1, 2, 3, and they're going to get this 4th one down with the Elder. Weibo should absolutely give this. They do not want to fight on the remaining portions. There is still a minute left, so they may try to protect the wave here. If you are Azir, you want to already be standing here and kill this wave. This is a miss by Xiaohu to not be there in position to clear the wave, which means that G2 gets the top lane inhibitor. Are they going to step forward? They're really going to challenge them to this. They're saying, no, we don't want to go play for any kind of recall. We want to play for this all in. Rel engage into the front. They get the Azir. That is the biggest priority target they could have gotten. Xiaohu, what are you doing to end this game? You're just trolling your team. They let the wave in. They let themselves get picked. Elder being used to maximum effect. Oh my God, G2 is going to come back and win this game. They opt to hold in. They're going to take the item, the fact that they still have the lead and 10 seconds on the Elder. They get the maximum. Mickey finding another engage means they pop the Kaisa. There's no more damage threats left on the team. That means they are going to die. The Shy can never go all out because he will immediately die to the Elder burn. Looking for one type of engage. Can you get one guy to jump in and one cleanup? Elder is gone. The Shy needs to pop his all out right there. He's too late. It's got to be now. It had to be yesterday. Oh, he doesn't even have it. Oh my goodness. Wasn't even an option left over from the fight. G2 getting the maximum from these fights. They are finally going to pull back because Azir is up. Now they have to survive this. Yone's actually going for all in. They're trying to get everything, but it was a double teleport right here. Caps comes in. Is he actually going to be able to end? These are Rabadon's empowered attacks here. There is no Lich Bane though. He has exactly the 4 items. He's not going to be able to finish. Oh my goodness. What is this game? Yone also picking off Vi on the back end of this. Oh my gosh. All right. Leona, Vi, Orianna, Rel all going to still be dead for this Baron. And if they do it immediately, we're also going to have Mickey dead. So it's basically Broken Blade alive. The only one alive on the map. His teleport was canceled. Good job by Weibo to cancel the one. But Orianna was able to get there. Permanent structural damage to the base being done. That you have multiple different options for them for this fight. Love that they're able to find another engage. Rakan holding down one half of the fight while Rel going on to the other. I love that they didn't just dogpile onto one spot. Rakan opting to peel rather than to get layered CC onto one target. Love the Hex Slash there from Yike, aiming one way, facing one way, then Hex Slashing another, hiding your intentions for as long as possible. They're able to get the most out of this. This is incredible that they were able to get that big. Gotta catch my breath. Beautiful fights. I mean, this whole thing, you could do an entire video on just this sequence here. But G2, scrappy AF, right? This has been their thing all season long. Unique style, teleport into an immediate ultimate. It was double teleport onto the wall. There is no indicator, by the way, if you're thinking about that. No indicator to tell you that 2 people are coming to that ward. They show up at the exact same moment, meaning that Azir is able to get the upfront damage. Caps dealing permanent damage here to the inhibitor. Yone getting one as well. But man, this is so close. Look at them just shaking. You don't know what to feel. You just know that you feel. Vamos, Carlos. Carlito getting a little bit excited there. All right, they didn't show us the Baron on the back of that. That feels like a waste. All right, well, it looks like it must have been uncontested. Weibo having uncontested path to the Baron means they get to get this push up for themselves. There were no wards dropped in the base. Important to note. And the amount of time it takes to teleport means that Yone can never like stack Q3 and then teleport to this ward and try to get in. So we're going to see if we ever have a path. Now, I love what Caps is doing right here. A little bit of harass on the backside. They're actually trying to funnel them into this fight. It's taking them away from the push. They're also just the stronger team fight team. So we'll see if they end up getting what they want. They end up scrapping. This is going to stall Baron. Beautiful by Hansama. Immediate, almost frame perfect on the cleanse there. Aye, Mickey. Okay, we got big problems. It's going to come down to execution on the rest of this fight. Yone picks up 2, including the free kill onto Vi. Means that we don't get that tool for the rest of the fight. They don't get the knockups. The Shy trying to go in with all out, but we're going to see Broken Blade just scale through this fight. G2 is going to win the game. Oh my goodness, how did they come back from this game? Weibo Gaming giving them the fight. Dude, look at the fans. They're like, this is quality. This is what we came for. G2 going to skip the turret, deal no damage to it, just go over and collect the Nexus. What an exciting game here. Played up. The inhibitor's about to respawn. They get the kill 1 second before. Yike thought about inting that fountain. I am just imagining the nightmares that could have happened if Yike actually goes forward and ints the way that he might right here. He was not planning around this, and I would be irate if it came down to it. Obviously, in this case, it wouldn't matter because we have super long respawn timers. They could walk back, pick up this wave. In fact, the supers would just kill this themselves and end. But you know, that is G2's way. That's their style. I'm gonna let them have it, but it's certainly not the way that I would want to handle things. I would go about my business. I would celebrate after you win in game. Celebrate with the fans. All right, it doesn't need to have this golden moment. But man, what a win from G2. Dragon Soul, just another case in the case study of Dragon Soul not mattering. comes down, if your team has scaling, you're okay to give up these dragons. You do not need to give. And in this game, we actually saw G2 give so much by contesting some of these fights where they weren't there. They just didn't have prio, or they went in. Yike was behind Vi. They constantly stepped forward, and it just felt like they were giving and giving and giving more. You shouldn't be doing that. When you have this team fight composition, you should absolutely let the game mature. Let yourself get to the spot that you want. Find the picks you want. Get pressure. Force them. All right, great. You got Dragon. Make them rotate over to me under my terms. I don't want to be rotating to you when I have this team fight comp. So hopefully that makes sense. You absolutely want to do that in your comps. When you're playing games, keep in mind, what does my team do well, and lean into that. What does their team do well, and lean into that. Try to create the situation that allows your team to thrive. G2 did it. What a win. They're going to be